My name is Curtis Dominic Jasper. I'm born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. I currently reside in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been here for the last 24 years. And I serve professionally as a psychologist and a psychoeducator, which means I teach about mental health and emotional wellness more so than treating mental illnesses and mental disorders. I am a father of four and a grandfather of one. I pride myself on living a harmonious lifestyle filled with solitude, hiking, working out, reading books, and hanging out with empowering individuals.
Okay. Um, I guess my next question is you had kind of mentioned a comparison between mental health versus mental illness. What exactly is the difference? Because it's been a lot of talk about it lately post COVID. But prior to COVID, I guess maybe a lot of people were experiencing a lot of the things that they have been experiencing.
Yeah, so there are illnesses that which are created as a result of mental challenges, right? And then, of course, there are mental disorders, meaning the mentality is out of order. But what I find in my years of professional practice is that many of us haven't been taught on what mental health actually is and how to sustain emotional wellness, which has a direct impact on mental health, right? And so there's a colonized approach to mental illnesses, which is part of the medical industrial complex, right? When you hear the word illness, that means that it has more to do with profitizing than healing, right? My point, my commitment is to share specifically with Black people and people of color what it means to not only uh, have mental health, but emotional wellness and how to sustain that. So I don't deal with the illness part. I have colleagues that do. My specialty is not how to treat symptoms of illnesses. My specialty is how to instill helpful tools and strategies to address the root causes more so than the effects.
Okay. Now I can ask you, now what are some of those root causes? And I'm interested in black men's mental health in particular.
Well, the number one challenge is racism, right? Let's get straight to it. Uh, Racism induced stress and anxiety, right? As Black men, we are born into an existence that systematically is designed against our prosperity, right? And so there's a lot of things. So we show up in a chaotic situation just because that we're Black, right? And it shows up in different school educational, obviously, health and well, any industrial complex. There's an underbelly of it not being sustainable for Black men in particular. And so, that's my knowingness, right? That brothers are challenged with a colonized approach to mental health, meaning we are reared to be stoic, to be providers and protectors. And we hear this all the time online. What we are not reared to be from an African spirituality standpoint is leaders, is fully expressed human beings who happen to be in Black male form. And so my position is to educate and dispel some of the myths and the erroneous information that's floating around online spaces.
Okay. Now, if you could you go into some of those myths? Because it's like we in the age of information. We got a computer in our hand, but sometimes when we on social media, Instagram, TikTok, we flooded with so much stuff, and a lot of people don't really know what to believe.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things we just kind of, it takes on a life of its own because it becomes trendy, right? Particularly after during and after COVID, right? It used to be toxicity. Then it went to toxic masculinity, and now we're trying to circle back to say, oh, black male mental health, black men mental health, and so all of those, in my opinion, are just code words for not necessarily the black man needs help, although we definitely do. But the black man is still dangerous and he needs to be fixed, right? That's the undertone, right? The black man is dangerous, whether we say he's toxic or hyper or toxic masculinity, or he lacks vulnerability, right? And so we associate the myth of vulnerability means uh, showing up, expressing a feminine side, a softer side, and that's, that's a fragment of what it means to be vulnerable, right? Vulnerable means to be open. It actually means to be human. There's a vulnerability in terms of expressing the things that you enjoy. We have misassociated vulnerability with share your innermost thoughts, pains, in a more feminine, softer way so that you can get it over to people. I remind black men, men in particular, that vulnerability is to one, be open to oneself, be open to feeling the totality of all of your emotions. I give you an example, Tay, right? There are brothers who have been so locked into survival mode, they have forgotten the things that they once enjoyed. They have put things that they once enjoyed on the back burner and have completely locked in on survival mode.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now I can ask you this. Now, how important is it to seek out help from other black men and from a professional standpoint? And is there a lack of black men available to cater to the black men in our community?
Oh yeah, there's single digit numbers when it comes to black practitioners, regardless of their titles, in the mental health space in general, right? We could be it if we could see it, right? We use that in the hood, we use it in the boardroom. If black men could see it, then they could be it. If they could see a healthy man who happens to be a professional and an expert in the mental health space, who has a story of healing himself. We have practitioners in this space, but not all of them have been on their own healing journey, right? They are just well educated and well schooled. But as brothers, if they could hear the healing journey of another brother, they could obviously instill it in themselves. Well, he can do it, I can do it, right? It is doable. I hear this brother's story of where he came from and what he's been through and how he got to where he is now. So as black men, if we could be it, we could see it. And we only could see it clearly when someone who's providing or holding that space for us, Tay, looks like us and get it over to us on a way that we can receive it and digest it, not over our heads trying to, pop his stuff on how brilliant he is, but really taking a complex topic like mental health, vulnerability, or whatever the case may be, and bringing it to a level where a black male could absorb it, could digest it, could make sense in his own mind and body.
Definitely, definitely need them examples for sure. Now I can ask you, you kind of talked about racism and the effects that it has on us mentally. Now how early does that begin? Because you go on YouTube, sometimes you'll see the dial test when they have the black dial, the white dial, and they ask the black child, which dial is the ugly dial? Which dial is the mean dial? Which dial is the
Yeah.
stupid dial? The black one, of course, and then which dial look like you? And you can see that the child is like, oh man, I'm black. But how long does it take and where does that start, to affect us?
It starts right out the womb, right? It starts right out. I would go so far to say it starts in the womb with women's health care, but that's a whole nother topic of which I'm not an expert. But for my sake of expertise and staying in my lane, it starts for black males right out of the womb, right? So you have situations about how they perceive themselves based on how the world treats them, how the world responds to them. And they get those seeds planted right out the womb and they water throughout lifestyle. And it's exacerbated when they get into the schoolhouse, right? A black boy, the minute he gets into a formal school setting is when that labeling data collection starts. So if he's not able to sit in his chair still and absorb information, which is built on a middle class white power structure, then they start with the labeling, right? He has a behavior disorder or ADHD that starts because it goes against his natural nature. So now he's internalizing the fact that even as early as pre-K, kindergarten, first and second grade, that he is broken to the world and he needs to be fixed, right? And so it starts in the schoolhouse, out the womb, reinforced in the schoolhouse. And oftentimes when I work with black men years later, many of us, including myself, are still recovering from those childhood wounds, right? That were, instilled in us because of who we are and how school systems have not been able to manage the reactions or the responses of black males.
Sometimes it's a teacher, sometimes it's another student, but it's like almost, no matter how much you reinforce your children, you could teach them right from wrong or teach them this and that. But once you send them out that door, especially into that school, they're going to be confronted and exposed to so many things. But is it anything that we could do? Do we don't send them to school, or do we just prep them for what's to come, or do we build our own schools, or, is it anything we can do?
It is. It is, Tay. I mean, there's so many layers of pain and hurt that's been inflicted upon the black males. It's going to take a lot to sort of address all of those levels of pain and hurt. And so there's not a one way, of course, right? I work with parents who have sent black boys to the top private schools in the country, only to have thrown those same black boys to the wolves to receive racism on a whole different level. Then we got the black boys in the hood who's going to what appears to be an all-black school, where the majority of the students are receiving Title I funds, which is free or reduced lunch based on the socioeconomics of that particular area. They are subjected to racism, right? And so parents have great intentions. We all want our children to be happy and healthy, but then it comes down to a knowledge and a resource base. So what can we do? Validate, love on them, instill certain principles, right? Encapsulate them so that they can be safe, put them around healthy, thriving black males, right? Because even if the greatest parents on the globe cannot provide one child with everything, it is our obligation to surround our children, insulate our children with other black healthy men.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. I had a teacher, I was in high school. I always thought he was racist, but it was a situation where his wife was working at a school district next to ours, and they was on strike or whatever. And he killed a raccoon and he put it in a box and he mailed it to the principal, which was a black lady, And I was like, man, I thought that was kind of far out, but it was like this
Wow.
guy was teaching us, you know, the information that we were supposed to need to be prepared for life. He could have did anything or taught us anything. That's just one example, but you never know what type of
Wow.
teachers you're gonna be dealing with.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
that was crazy. Yeah, yeah. I was in elementary school one time. I had this teacher. He told me something. I asked him something. I raised my hand. Kids always asking questions. Then he was like, "Well, you don't have to do nothing but stay black and die." I didn't know what that meant. I didn't even know to years later, but I never forgot that. And I'm like, this dude was racist. I was like 8 years old. He told me this, because I
Yeah.
was getting on his nerves probably. But you feel me?
Yeah.
Them the type of teachers that at some point in time our kids gonna have to deal with. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
let me see.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, yeah. Now, now I wanted to ask you this. You kind of touched on it, but what got you into mental health? Was this your childhood dream? Did you graduate from high school and want to get straight into this? What led you on this amazing journey?
So good question. So I actually professionally started off in education, right? I started off as a classroom teacher in Chicago public schools. I left education about 20 years ago as a middle school principal here in the Atlanta area. But what got me into psychology and mental health was my own mental health healing journey, right? around 15 years ago, I went through a very tough period in my life where life just started crumbling down. And although I had prepared myself with school and I had did what I thought was leading me in the direction of achieving the American dream, things start to unravel, right? The real estate market and economy crashed. I went through a very eventful divorce. My parents succumbed to, both of them had succumbed to illnesses and passed away, right? I had to spend time away from the children, uh, ostracized by, family and friends. Like, it was a real tough period for me. And I found myself going to see a therapist. Now, I wasn't a stranger to therapy because I had went as a teenager. My mother was ahead of her time back in the 80s. She took me to see a therapist, which turned out to be family counseling, which was a gift. So because I was the one in the family who was exemplifying the most symptoms, they thought it was me. They thought children who exemplify symptoms of going against societal norms are labeled and have turned over to white folks to fix, when in fact that they are the ones who are inviting other agencies in so that the entire family could make adjustments. And so, because my mother was brilliant in that fact, she took me, but it ended up being family counseling, and we were better as a result of it. And then I went to therapy again as a young professional through my benefits as a classroom teacher. And then I found myself years later, when life got tough, going through 5 different therapists. And it was the 5th therapist which told me that part of my healing journey would be to become a mental health practitioner and help other Black men heal. And that's what I did. So that's it in a nutshell. There's a TED Talk out there that kind of goes into my story a little more about that. And so, yeah, that's my history. So I'm still on my healing journey, and I remind Black men that this is a journey we'll all be on. And so my job now is to continue on my own healing trajectory and to pay it forward as I go by helping other brothers.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I definitely got to check out that TED talk. That's definitely one of the best ones I've seen thus far, man. I tip my hat to you
Appreciate
for
you.
sure.
Appreciate you.
No doubt, no doubt. Now I can ask you. So for the viewers who kind of want to follow you, outside of YouTube, obviously you got videos on there. Do you do like seminars or consultations or courses or anything of that nature?
Yeah, I do. I do. The website, drcurtisdjasper.com, is the online hub, but I'm very active on social media. Instagram, I am Dr. Kurt, and all the other platforms as Dr. Curtis D. Jasper. Simple Google search. But I'm very translucent, right? We say transparent, I say translucent, right? I don't want you to see in me. I want you to see through me in terms of what's possible for oneself. And so I make it my obligation to show up online and just share information, not only from my expertise, but my experience. I got a few books out there on Amazon. I do one-on-one and family and couples counseling. I do a lot of corporate speaking, keynoting, and sitting on panels. And I do a men's group here in Atlanta locally twice a month that started in August. I used to do them online, but I'm moving offline where brothers can come and sit before me and sort of allow me to facilitate their healing journey twice a month. So pretty active in this space, man. I pride myself on being a hand reach away for those who naturally resonate to me.
Oh, okay, that's what's up, man. That's definitely what's up.
I'm pretty accessible. I typically get back with people within 48 hours, man. And I'm just here to serve, man. I'm just at a point in my life, 53 years old, man. I'm just here to serve. I want to leave a legacy of healed brothers that could not only go back and grab some other brothers, but to pay it forward and live a life that they enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely, most definitely. So yeah, I want to thank you again for coming on the platform. I definitely appreciate everything that you have done and will continue to do, and sharing the information with us. I'm still processing it, so like I say, I'll edit the video and do my part. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you, man. Let's do a part 2, man, whenever you get time, man. I love this, man. I appreciate what you're doing. I check out your platform. Very proud to be a part of your journey, man. So Let me know when I need to pull up again, Tay.
All right, likewise, King, and thank the viewers for tuning in. Until next time, peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.